Welcome back to the channel. This is Ephemeris, and today I am going to try and clean up the farm that I built, the carrot and potato farm, and try to make them not look so boxy. Instead of having one giant box, I'm hoping to have a design that at least looks like something other than a box. So we'll jump in, give you a look at what I've done, and see how it turns out. Thanks for joining me today. Let's get to it. We're back at the oversized farm, and one of the things that I want to do is I want to go ahead and try to figure out how can I make this look like something other than just a giant rectangle. And one of the things I thought about doing was kind of going with that medieval style, that older style that I kind of already have started with some of the spruce and block patterns already, and just see some sort of idea to work with that. But what I'm thinking is I'm going to have some square towers coming off this corners here, and see if I can't just start to give some depth to the building, and then see what I want to do from that, if that works out in the beginning. So what I've already come out here and played with a little bit is I'm thinking that I will start the wall for these towers about 2 in from each side, so it makes it pretty symmetrical on each side. That put the center of this here, give me 3 blocks. So then I put my third block here, and then we'll have our third block out here. I'm just going to try to go and take a look at what it would be like to just kind of start to break this out in a nice or square pattern around this corner, and just see, is that a little too big? Seems really far out here to me. Going back and cutting that down a little. I'm not real sure. I think this is something that you get a little bit of distance from this and start to, well, let's build this up a little bit more. Just take a look to see if it's going to scale okay. And then if it does, I'm going to also come back through here and start adding some different block palette block to this so that we get some sort of texture. I just want to get an idea about how big this is going to look compared to what I already got here, and see if it would kind of fit and break this up just a little bit. Going to be trying some different builds as I go all along with this. Watching Hermitcraft this season of it, I really like some of the modern builds with the white concrete, the cyan concretes, and those type of things. But really just still beginning this. Of course, the downside to this is it's all stone, and that's one thing I got to break up. I got to get some different colors in there. So I think I'm going to end up going, and I need to mine a bunch or chop down a bunch of trees to be able to get some spruce here. And I think that's the first place I'm going to start trying to add in some of the wood textures, because I really just don't like all this gray on gray, and see what we can do with that. Once I kind of get a plan with that done, I'll come back and we'll keep. So I've went out and I harvested about 6 or 7 stacks of spruce wood, which I'm going to use as some accent pieces. I also took some time to look up some images of just different castles for ideas. And one of the things I really liked was switching over to the idea of the round turrets on the corners here, maybe breaking up some of these straight edges a little bit, and then using the spruce just as accents, because most of the pictures of castles that I saw, for some reason I have this, this fantasy idea of castles with the wood throughout them. The reality is the outer shell was a lot of just very solid stone. So I'm going to take a look and see what that looks like initially, and maybe come back and change it. I will be using the stone brick pattern for a lot of it, and then also changing that up a little bit with andesite, cobblestone, and even some regular stone from time to time, just to change that pattern and give a little bit more texture to it. So just going to create the base circle based off this little center square here. So I'm going to start out at 3 away, 2, and I'm simply going to work myself around. That should be just repeating this pattern. 2 down, over, and we are. So that'll give us a rough circle. Now, I don't know if this is a big enough circle to play that way. So I may end up having to extend this out a little bit. Now it just looks a little tight to me. Yeah, I'm not liking that a whole lot. I wonder if I go ahead and bring that out a little bit, if that's not going to help make this look a little better. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and expand the circle by an extra block in each direction, which is going to make it quite a bit larger circle, but maybe that's going to make it let it look a little more circular. I just don't really like how this is already starting to look, so I'm just going to break this up a little bit here. So take this out and go ahead and rework it again, starting just with a course of the stone bricks. 1, 2, 4, and then we're across, down, over, 3, something wrong. That's what it is. Not real good at doing these kind of circle patterns. Just trying to match it up kind of with what I got on the other side. Blocks, because that is the world's strongest wheat, being able to withstand the whole weight of those blocks coming down. Okay. I'm liking the size of that better. I think that will be a better overall look. We'll definitely have to play around a little bit with some of the textures and break that up just a little bit. So what I will do is start to place some of these in and then come back through and just maybe start to mess around with switching out some of these for andesite, which I think is okay. You know, pair that with, say, the stone, which is just a slightly different pattern. I think both actually work okay. We even have some areas where it's crumbling a little bit more. Put some cobblestone in there. And then, of course, the other thing I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to light all that up at some point in time, or at least put some slabs down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue to build this up and come back and take a look at it after I get it up a few layers and see how it's going. So I went ahead and took up my first tower. I decided to not take it all the way to the top. I think I'm going to make this multi-tiered by running a different layer across the top that kind of builds on this design down here. I like the mix of the stone pattern. I'm not real sure if I want to keep the cobblestone or not. That's the one pattern that's in there that I'm not 100% on. I do think from a distance it all looks pretty good, with maybe the cobblestone needing to change. I do also want to go back and change up some of the just flat stone that I put in here, start to match this as well. And then I'm going to mirror this build here, this turret, along each of these other sides, so that it all starts to fill out. And then I think I'm going to put a big, almost like a gatehouse in between these two that I'd consider the front. And then maybe underneath of that, hollow this out a little bit so that I have a larger collection area for my carrots and potatoes, because they are going to very quickly fill up. And of course, over here, I just have my collection of iron golems. Kind of need another pillager raid to come through, because having these guys over here is really nice for helping take out the ravagers and stuff. So kind of a way to mask this, you know, I'm not real sure in the end if it's the best way to do that. I'm just kind of playing around with that medieval style building. These turrets aren't the best design, but I think they'll work for this. And I do like just the general mix of the andesite to stone to the brick pattern. The cobblestone's the one that I might need to back off on a little bit. But for now, I'm just going to probably leave it and see what it looks like when I get it totally finished. So after taking a little bit of time to build up the rest of the towers and then also put in kind of this little gatehouse here, I'm liking the looks of the build a lot more. Go ahead, run down there and take a look at what exactly we've done. First thing is I've added these kind of roundish towers to each side here using spruce trapdoors, just kind of to try to create this kind of barrier, which we could imagine just sitting up there and fighting from. I actually would like to have a pillager raid come through here and go up and hide in those and use that as a defensive position. Over on this side here, which I tried just to build into the hillside. Let's see, where's my way up? Oh, there it is. I just kind of tried to terraform this land and just thought maybe we'd just use a little bit of the room here and create this back tower over here and try to just make it fit into the background a little bit. The other thing that I did is to give myself a kind of a nice way in here. I imagined that there was just this little gatehouse, imagining, you know, it'd be really nice if we could find a way to drop this down. I know there's some gates I could build to make that kind of happen with some fence posts. But I think I'll just leave it as this right now and just have a nice little place for my farm to work. And the farm is working fairly well. I already have a full thing of carrots, and just over that, I've cleaned this out once already to go trading. And then lots of potatoes here. I'm actually going to have to combine this and expand this storage system, because assuming this isn't breaking in 14.4, I am producing a lot more carrots and potatoes than I was expecting. And I kind of knew, I just kind of viewed this as a slow, efficient, or slow kind of get the amount of materials I needed over time. This is actually a fairly quick farm once it gets up and running. Just looking at some of the design pieces I did, just try to mix in a bunch of the different textures of rocks. The ones that I'm not completely sold on are, of course, the cobblestone. I may end up coming and replacing these later. For right now, I think I'll just leave it as is. And then, of course, the other thing is that we get far enough away from this. From this angle, it looks okay. I think when I get further and further back, I don't necessarily like how it just kind of ends. And when we start looking from back here, I'm wondering if I don't need to build a tower up in the middle of this. And I think that might be something that I add on later, is just another spire up there. Maybe put something up there, maybe just even a landing perch or something fun up there in the future. Anyways, thank you for joining me today. This has been Ephemeris. I appreciate you sticking out with me and just kind of seeing me muddle through how to build these towers. If you are willing to hit that subscribe button, I'd really appreciate it. It would really help me get this channel up and running. And if you've just managed to watch it through it and all you do is have watched it, thank you for that itself. That also helps me a great deal. Thank you, and I'll see you later.